Another really important thing to think about when it comes to value is thinking about whether or not your client offers more so intangible or tangible value. People tend to prioritize tangible value, things you can physically touch or feel or get. Like if you go to a restaurant, the food you're getting is tangible. The environment perhaps is intangible though, because it's hard to quantify. Likewise with feelings. If you feel better, more professional, more confident, that's an intangible value that you're receiving from a particular business. It's important to think about both of these different sources of value and which one your client offers, because some clients offer more intangible value than tangible value, and that's okay. Grey Goose is a really neat example of the benefit of intangible value. You're probably familiar with it. It's a vodka, and it sells for about double what a standard vodka would be. What's neat about this is the story behind it. There was a business person, and he was out, and he was going for dinner, and he noticed that there's no way to possibly have a more expensive vodka, at least at the time. Back then, there was just Stoli, Absolute, and other sort of typical vodkas for around $20 a bottle. He thought this was frustrating. He's like, if you want to have a big celebration, if you want to show off potentially, there's nothing better to buy beyond the sort of standard brands. If you go to wine, if you go to scotch, if you go to spirits, right, there's always more expensive versions of the stuff you could buy, but there wasn't this with vodka. So what he did is he invented Grey Goose, and he purposely went through and chose elements and characteristics of Grey Goose to make it more luxurious. It was made in France. Why? Because all the really good, luxury products tend to come from France. It was in a fancy glass bottle that was frosted on some parts and see-through on others. There was the goose in it, the cool blue bottling as well too in the color. They also had the fake little cork thing on top, and purposely made the bottle tall and slim so it would stand out on a store shelf. All of these things created the impression that Grey Goose was more valuable and was more expensive. This is especially evident in their advertising. If you take a look at this ad, you can see exactly what comes to mind.
Grey Goose, world's best tasting vodka.
What's neat about this ad is that it creates a feeling in you as a consumer. When we now drink Grey Goose, even if we're not on a boat having oysters, we still get the impression or feeling that we are. And this is something that a lot of different brands do. You're really buying a feeling more so than just a tangible product or service that you might be experiencing. So think about that. Are there different sources of value beyond just the tangible that your client is providing? This is especially important for nonprofits. If you're helping support a cause or a nonprofit, right, really people are donating because of the fact that they want to get a warm feeling. They want to have lots of different emotions that are evoked when they go through and provide that donation. There's a really interesting study that was done many years ago, and what it did is it looked at branded and unbranded placebos versus real actual drugs. When they went through and went from giving somebody a completely inert placebo and they put a brand logo on it, people experienced more pain relief. So stated again, if you gave somebody a sugar pill, they felt a certain amount of pain relief. They might have thought it was a real drug. But if you went through and put the actual stamp of a real company like Bayer on it, people experienced more pain relief. So the brand added to the relief that they were experiencing. Comfortingly, If you go through and actually put a real drug in the pill, so you give people actual Tylenol, not just, a placebo, people experience even more pain relief. That's comforting. It's good to hear that science works. But importantly, if you added a logo, if you added a brand on top of the actual active drug, you had even more pain relief happening as well too. What I find really cool about this particular study is you get a similar effect from adding the brand name as you do from adding the actual drug. I think that's super neat. Did people actually experience these levels of pain relief? Yes, right? And part of that pain relief came from that intangible value that they were receiving from seeing that logo and feeling better as a result. That's cool. A really neat example of this is coffee. If you give people Starbucks coffee and McDonald's coffee in cups that are unbranded, what do you think people prefer? Unsurprisingly, it's McDonald's. McDonald's is really good at making things taste good. However, if you give them Starbucks coffee in a Starbucks cup and McDonald's coffee in a McDonald's cup, what do you think they actually prefer then? Again, unsurprisingly, it's Starbucks. Starbucks has way more brand power, way more cachet around coffee than McDonald's. This was a huge issue for McDonald's when they were trying to convert people over to their McCafe coffee. I remember personally, up in Vancouver, there were weeks that you could literally walk into any McDonald's, they ran a promo, and get free coffee. No purchase necessary, nothing required, just walk in and get a free cup of coffee and leave. Despite this, Starbucks still held strong. My favorite was actually seeing one location in Vancouver where there was a Starbucks right across from McDonald's. You would see people walking up to the Starbucks, look at the sign on the McDonald's, see that there was free coffee, and still go into Starbucks and buy something there. Kind of neat, right? It really speaks to the power of what Starbucks has in terms of intangible value. Another really useful article is this one. It goes through and talks about sources of value in more detail. You might, if you have time to go in and take a look at that, read through the entire article. If you don't, I suggest you really just focus on the one particular pyramid that they have in there. Here it's blown up. What the pyramid does is it goes through and summarizes different sources of value consumers might find from your particular business. It starts off the ones that are more basic ones, such as functional benefits, and it goes through to life-changing and self-transcendence at the very top. You can go through and look at all of these different sources of potential value and see which ones might make sense for your particular client. It's a great read, link down below or up on Blackboard as well too.